I'm going to do this again because of the Wi-Fi. It's really not able to get too much, so it's going to go in and out. But this is intense. This is the worst part of this storm. You can barely see anything with all the rain and the wind. It's just gotten, like I said, again, it's going to go in and out because of the access. So that's what you get, folks. There's just literally nothing but wind and rain, and it's just screaming. And this window is just fluctuating in and out. Ooh, look at that! Wow, that was intense. Man, that'd be over 130 miles an hour, I'm sure. Wow. It's unbelievable. We're still in the eye wall portion of the storm. It's kind of scary, folks. Luckily, the windows we've got here are curved around the building. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is amazing. Like I said, I'm shocked that we still have Wi-Fi and power. Again, the storm is going by, so the wind is still coming from the east, although it's beginning to shift around over to the north. You can tell from the way the trees are going. You can't tell from video probably, but it's starting to go and shift around from the north. We're on the south side of our building, so it starts to shift over to the north side. We'll be more protected by the rest of the building. But literally you can't see more than 50 yards. That's, oh my gosh, this has got to be 130 plus. Unbelievable. The wind is, and the rain is just going sideways. Just sideways. It is unbelievable the power of this storm. And again, the pressure, the barometric pressure, the pressure is just, you get a headache and you just kind of feel this, it's a weird feeling because you're not used to having pressure that low in your body. Man, unbelievable. Again, luckily, this has been going on for about 20 minutes so far, and the eye wall is we should be coming to the end pretty soon, because I really want to try to capture the transition between this eye wall and the eye of the storm. And you can see, wow, oh my goodness, oh my God, that's unbelievable. Again, it started to, you can tell we're getting close to the end because the wind is starting to move back around to the north instead of from the east. Because they're coming from the southeast, it's starting to whip out over more from the northwest. And again, ironically, today is the same exact day 57 years ago that Hurricane Donna came through Naples and decimated it. Ironic, 57 years to the day of that historic hurricane. And then we have Hurricane Irma. Pretty ironic and pretty scary. Should have bought some lotto tickets today. Wow. Another big gust of wind. Another big gust. Should be getting relatively close to the finishing of this eye wall, to where we get to the point where the eye of the hurricane is, because it's going to come right over us. And you can begin to see the building, the wind, and the trees moving more north. This is east, moving more north, and it'll start coming. Wind will start moving around from the northwest, and then when it comes from the west and the south is when we get really nervous, because it's pulled all this water out of all the bays and inlets and everything else, and then it'll turn when the wind comes around and the hurricane comes back on the other side. It'll blow all that water back into the bays and inlets, and that's when the storm surge occurs. And so we're very concerned about that. My aunt and uncle, who are here staying with us, have a house down in Naples, and in one of the lower lying areas, and it's an older house, so we don't think it's going to be underwater, because they live on the water. But this is obviously something that's historic from a standpoint of this history, but also from a standpoint of Naples and Southwest Florida. I've been here for 34 years, been through several hurricanes. Hurricane Andrew we left for, and was nothing like this. Nothing like this at all. They compared this to Hurricane Donna, which was, again, done in 1960. Same exact day, 57 years ago to the day, which is ironic. That Category 3 hurricane strikes Naples, which is the same thing that happened in 1960. Took almost exactly the same path. Wow, look at that. Unbelievable. And from my understanding, right before we get to the actual eye wall is the eye of the hurricane. The wall there is the worst, and then it changes. And everybody can see that on radar how it's such a defined, just a defined limit between the eye of the hurricane and the eye wall around it. Don't know whether we're going to see any kind of sunlight or sun or anything like that. Obviously the wind will stop. It'll get very calm. And that will be the point of the lowest pressure too, lowest barometric pressure. I've never done this Facebook Live thing, so I don't know how long this will last. My battery on my phone is charged up all day. Again, this is get another big gust of wind. And we're supposed to get as much as 6 to 7 to 8 inches of rain. That on top of the storm surge when the wind begins to pull around from the other side of the storm. So that's really the biggest concern everybody here has is the storm surge. It's supposed to be 9 to 15 feet from elevation, not from sea level, obviously, because we've got there we go, another big gust of wind. But the storm surge is the biggest concern. And obviously that happens on the way back. And with the curvature of the coast here in this area, it kind of gets cut into a bowl, especially in Naples, into Naples Bay. And then as you go up north into Fort Myers, you've got Cape Coral, and there are concave coastlines, so the water gets, it's like putting it in a bowl, so it gets even more intense. Yeah, you can tell that the wind is starting to move back around to the north, just from the trees. So that tells me we've got to be getting close to finishing the eye wall portion here and getting actually into the eye of the hurricane. And you'll see the eye of the hurricane come from the right of the screen first. So I don't know, again, this is something I don't know how many people have ever experienced that transition between the eye wall and the eye of a hurricane. Oh man, there's another big gust of wind. Wow. This is insane. Wow. Yeah, the more that the wind blows around the other part of the building, we'll be able to go through and be able to see the wind, the water and everything pulling back away from this won't be as difficult. But man, this is just, like I said, this has been going on for about the last 20 minutes. I don't know how long I've been recording, but I tried to start it right at the beginning, and so we've got to be getting closer to the eye wall. This is by far the worst part of the entire hurricane portion. The northeastern portion of the leading edge of the eye wall, or leading edge of the hurricane, is the worst. When it comes back around to the other side, then it's not as bad. And man, you can see it's just blowing again. Man, this just unbelievable. I don't know what these gusts are, but they've got to be 130 miles an hour or more. This is just insane. But again, the northern portion of the eye wall, which is where we are now, is by far the most intense and has got the strongest winds. Once it passes and we get to the eye, it'll slow significantly. And then on the other end, it's not nearly as intense as this. Now, it's not going to be 20 miles an hour. Instead of being 130 or 140 miles an hour like this is, it may only be 80 or 90 miles an hour. And it's not as, the wall is not nearly as thick. It's not going to last nearly as long as this. But again, as that begins to turn around, that's when the storm surge comes, and that's the scary part, because that's when the flooding really will end up occurring. But man, this is insane. I can't imagine we've got too much longer here before we get to the eye of the hurricane. Because like I said, the most intense winds are right before the eye. You're starting to see some branches and stuff blowing around. Some of the tops of the trees, of these palm trees, are starting to come off. You got palm fronds. Most of the trees that are blown over are ones with canopies. Man, and again, it's just blowing. But you can tell it's shifted more to the north of the building, so it's not blowing at the window as much. It's blowing back from the northern portion of the wind. And the minute you think it starts to slow a little bit, then another gust comes by. I'm really thankful that this storm occurred during the day and not at night. I've been through many storms, a couple hurricanes that come through in the middle of the night, and those are very scary because you can't see anything, you have no idea what's going on. So I'm thankful that this is occurring here and at landfall in the daytime and not at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because it makes it even more difficult to try to go ahead and make sure, get things organized from a standpoint of emergencies, as well as it's just a lot scarier because you just don't have any clue what's going on and no sense of reference at all. So gust, and big squall. This has been going on for about, say, close to 30 minutes. I don't know when I started recording, but yeah, this has got to be close to 30 minutes so that this has been going on like this. So we should be getting to the eye wall, or the eye of the hurricane, pretty soon. And again, based upon the way I can see the wind blowing, which is coming back around more from the north, it would tend to tell me that we're getting around to the corner where we'll be in the middle. And we literally, this hurricane is about 12 miles. The eye is about 12 miles across, from my understanding, and we're literally kind of just about right in the middle. If you've been to Southwest Florida, it's kind of going up right up US 41, which is the westernmost main roadway in Southwest Florida. And from there to the beach, it's not any more than 1.5 to 3 miles. And we've got another big squall coming through. But I can tell again from its move, the wind's turned around to the other direction. See, it looks like it's starting to let up a little bit. But then the minute you think it's starting to let up, it starts to kick back up again. So, but yeah, it's starting to go ahead and looks like it's starting to go ahead and let up. So maybe we're getting close to the eye. Maybe we're getting closer to the eye because it's starting to let up a little bit. But again, you could tell because the wind has started to move back around to the north. I just want to see how quickly this transitions from where it goes from the storm to the eye of the hurricane and then back to the storm again. I mean, like I said, we've been going through this for over a half an hour at this point in time. And as I realize it's 5:38, it's almost time for a martini. But I got to go ahead and see this first. So, another reason why I'm glad it's at the end of the day. You can begin to at least start to see more of the trees, and we'll get to see a little bit more of the horizon. And it doesn't seem to be quite as windy as it was before, so we may very well be getting to the point of the eye. Slow but sure. And then again, the minute I say that, it starts to go ahead and get windy again. Yeah, and again, we're still getting more swells, but again, it's definitely moving to the north part of the building, and not to the west. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to come back here so we can see this transition.